What's up guys, it's your host Spartanic DxD back with another high school DxD related video. And today we have What If Issei Was Betrayed and Became a God Part 8. Let's try to hit 500 to 600 likes. If you guys want to know exactly when I upload my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button. First off, a special thank you to my balance breakers, Rob the King, Jorge Alvarez, Lachlan Yates, Atomic Warlord 58, Kozako Toltec Sun God, Daybreak, VRWolf #2347, Sinrar Q, Jordan Patchow, Mazaku, Dr_MLG_ is the bomb. Thank you so much for becoming a balance breaker, which is the highest tier membership in my channel membership tier. Seriously, can't thank you enough. If you guys want to see what ifs on other anime or Goku in general, I love Dragon Ball, go ahead and subscribe to my second channel down in the description below, and Popowski. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into part 8. Chapter 19. Location unknown. Third POV. Ha! I found it, finally I did it, I can't wait to break her! In a dark room which appears to be a dungeon, a voice filled with malice and desire echoes along with maniacal laughter. At last, I found it. I found the perfect maiden who I desire. Ah, master! Soon screams of ecstasy fills the room as the sound's bang increases, but then a photo of a knight of treachery lands nearby, blown a breeze. I'm bored and I have no use for you hereafter, you vile slave. Go prepare the push-ups. I shall have them in my room tonight. Yes, master. I can't wait to taste my dear little maiden. A silhouette of a man with green hair picks up the photo of Mordred and places it on a desk nearby. Location, Sea training grounds. A teleportation circle opens up from it, and Issei comes out with a small smile on his face as he finds himself on a cliff where he can see a huge lake. They are the Sea training grounds? Issei thought to himself. Issei spreads his wings and flies towards the lake, but then finds a barrier around the lake protecting it. Piece of cake, Issei says. A hole appears around the barrier, through which Issei enters the training grounds with a content smile. Partner, a presence is approaching us, Drake says. Must be Sona and her barrage, Issei replied. You know that trespassing is a major crime, Sona says. The melodious voice of Sona reaches his ears, earning a smile from Issei, who notices Sona was behind him. You've improved, Issei says. Of course I am. What brings you here, Issei? Sona stops. With a small destructive seductive Sona voice, Sona tries to tease the Red Dragon Emperor, which gets no response from him. I just wanted to check on you guys, Issei replied. Trying to deduce my barrage's development, are you? Sona says. Maybe not, Issei says. Sona rolls her eyes at Issei's antics, earning a small chuckle from Issei, but Sona soon finds herself getting tense. This certainly decreases my stress, but I find it hard to believe that you paid me a visit without any hidden motives, Sona said. Is it that obvious? Issei replied. Sona chuckles at Issei's comment, but then raises an eyebrow at the Red Dragon Emperor's change in character. This can't be my Issei. This must be a replica of my... Did someone abduct him? Sona says to herself. Issei notices the Harris's face filled with doubts and concerning, earning a sigh from him. I assure you that I am Issei Kodamine, not a doppelganger, Issei says. Well then, why don't we have a nice conversation inside the Sea Royal Farmhouse, Sona says. How nice of you, Sona. Now, we're with Mordred. In a highly decorated room in the Gremory Mansion, Mordred, Tomio, and Mash are seated next to each other having a conversation. Foxy, tell me, did you see my convinced you'd be in his barrage? Mordred said. Actually, I was the one who wanted to join him, Tomio says. Flashback, a week before. A huge explosion takes place, scorching the ground nearby. Ha! My powers are cooler than yours, Issei says. If you're cooler than me, does that make me hotter than you? Tomio says. With a predatory smirk on her face, the Fox Priestess throws a witty remark with sarcasm dripping off her voice. Ha! Maybe, Issei replied. Boost! ×5, Drake says. The boosted gear glows, earning a curious smirk from Tomio, but then a fist comes crashing into her face, but Tomio dodges and fires a golden beam hits him. Quite powerful, Issei says. There's still more, Tomio replies. A strange sensation invades Issei's mind, as his draconic instincts react to the sensation by pure instinct. The red dragon flares his aura. Senjutsu, Issei says. I have mastered all the forms of ki manipulation, and Senjutsu is one of them. And by using Senjutsu, I can put a person's life force like severing puppet strings, but it's hard to do it when having a huge reserve of mana. A crimson orb makes contact with Tomio, causing a small explosion while she was busy rambling. Payback accomplished, Issei said. Suddenly, Tomio gets up with a strange smile on his face. What's with the smile? Issei says. I have decided. I'll join your barrage, Tomio says. With a mischievous grin, Tomio declares, causing Issei to jaw drop at her unexpected declaration. What? Issei says. I have no regrets on my past life. I have no goals to achieve, so I decided to follow you and aid you, Tomio says. If that's what you wish for, I'll gladly do it, Issei says. A lone bishop piece appears on Issei's hands as he places it near her. I have no regrets, Tomio said. By the name of Issei Kodamine, heed my call. Enjoy me, my trusted bishop. Be reborn as my faithful bishop, Tomio no Mei. Issei says. A bright green and golden light invades the surrounding. After a few minutes, the light dies down and revealing Tomio with a pair of dragon wings. How do you feel? Issei says. I feel great. This is impressive. My magical reserves have been increased by around 30%. The flashback ends. That's it, Tomio says. That was quite a nice way to join, Mash said. Welcome to the team, Foxy. You did not try to steal my Issei from me, Mordred said. With a toothy grin, Mordred shakes hands with Tomio, who giggles mischievously. Don't worry, Mochan. I won't steal your Issei. Good, Mordred says. Location, now we're back at the Sea-Tree house. In a well-designed, stylish room, Issei finds himself staring at a bookshelf nearby. Sona, noticing his stare, smiles internally before beginning him a cup of tea. Want some refined tea handmade by myself by using the famous Sea-Tree royal recipes? Sona said. With a boastful smirk on her face, Sea-Tree Harris bags about her tea, earning an amused chuckle from Issei. The tea is quite delicious, Issei says. Thanks for the compliment, I guess, Sea-Tree replies. I've been meaning to ask you about Saji. Tell me how the training is going on, Issei says. Quite well, Sona replied. Sona suddenly goes silent and struggles to refrain his disappointment frown from a replacing stoic face. It's good to know that a fellow dragon is doing fine, Issei says. Not to be rude, but why are you here, Sona says. How can I avoid you after that little confession from before, Issei says. With a heavily amused smirk, Issei watches the Sea-Tree Harris face turn a deep shade of red. I am so sorry. That was my fault for being rash, Sona said. Look, I'm not angry at you. You sure I was a bit shocked, but I was not angry about it, Issei said. With a heavy sigh, Issei mentally curses himself for feeling anxious, but then decides to calm down and finish his speech. I can't blame you for falling in love with me. After gathering my thoughts, I have decided to give it a shot. I'll keep this short. I've had fallen in love with you. I love you, Issei says. What? Sona replies. The Sea-Tree Harris's face turns red and shades of red never seen before. Calm down, Issei. Don't blush. Ah, damn it, I'm a dragon. I shouldn't be losing my composure, Issei says to himself. Sona starts to reply. Gathering all the courage she could, the Sea-Tree Harris dashes forward and seizes the red dragon's top lip with hers. Location, outskirts of the Biel territory. In the beautiful village of the outskirts of the Biel territory, commoner devils were busy minding their own business. The devil guards on the gates of the village were inspecting the devils entering and leaving the Biel territory. Guard 1. Man, this is tiring. Why should we have to inspect every single devil who enters this village? The devil guard was relatively young, who was questioning an older devil. You have a lot of learning to do, son. The Great Gate is the only way through the common devils can enter and leave the great territory of Biel, and there are chances that some criminal or old Satan follower may try to infiltrate the great King Biel's territories. As the older devil was delivering a lecture to his son, as a familiar ginger-haired serial killer, his so-called creepy mentor, arrived, checking the terminal. Welcome to the inspection terminal #45. Please hand over your permit and devil identification card, Devil 2 said. Sure, Rinosuke said. Rinosuke and his mentor hand over the card and a few papers to the guard, who take a look at the papers and smiles a bit. Welcome to Biel territories. Mr. Black and Mr. Uru, your papers are legitimate, and glory to the old Satans. The older devil guard whispers at the last part with a wicked grin on his face as the killer duo leaves the great gate, enters the streets of the village nearby. So many kids, so many guts, Rinosuke says. Location unknown. What do we do? Some mysterious person says, and a spooky building lone voice echoes through the room. Soon 2 hooded figures appears from the shadows. We must reclaim our rightful place as the Satans and continue our legacy. But first we must help Leviathan escape from the clutches of them. Indeed. But tell me, how are the tasks assigned to you? The first voice lets out a hollow chuckle at the second voice's question. Near London, a few of the soldiers' Elden's elite squadron encountered a group of first-class enforcers from Magus Association, but our men managed to kill them, except one who fled. Casualties on our side? 2. the person replied. The Magus Association must have known about us by now. The second voice sneers at the other voice, who hungs in his head in shame. Apologies. The Magus Association is allied with the Angels, so by now, the fake Mao and the Heaven must have learnt about this. Is there any precious outpost or bunker at that place? No, but 3 squadrons are placed near London. Abandon that city and relocate our squadron to the city of Bristol and Birmingham. Task them with scouting potential resources and kill any Angel which dares to hinder our plans. Time skip, the next day, location, a castle at the city of Billard. The magnificent city of Billard, which was full of advanced technology and busy people. Inside the castle, Issei and his Parage were all in elegant costumes for the young devil part. Several devils were gathered, as well as the 4 devil kings. This place is amazing. I want a house like this. The fox priestess observes the surroundings with curiosity and admiration, causing a few devils nearby to stare at her beauty. Lot of people, Mash said. Don't be scared, Mash. I'll dispose of any vile devil who dares harm you, Mordred says. The Knight of Treachery reassures the nervous homunculus as she catches the eyes of everyone due to her formal black tuxedo with a white rose on her side. I want that hot chick, Devil 1 says. I want her, Devil 2 replies. A few devils stare at the Knight of Lustful Eyes, but an angry glare from Issei scares them. That's a nice dress, blonde, Azazel says. The Governor General walks towards the group with a smirk and a smile, wearing a white tied suit. Azazel, it's nice to meet you, Issei says. Likewise, Azazel replied. Yo, creepy crow, how's life for you? Mordred replied. With a mirthful chuckle escaping from his lips, Azazel gains a small smile. Life isn't that bad when the Chaos Brigade wants your head and your faction destroyed, Azazel said. The Governor of Fallen Angels answers in a sarcastic way, earning a couple of chuckles from the group. Not bad, Tomio says. May I get the honor of getting to know you, my lady, Azazel replies. Tomio burst out laughing at Azazel's poor attempt at flirting. I'm the reincarnation of Tomio no Mei, the Fox Priestess. It's a pleasure to meet you, Azazel, in the flesh. With a wink, the Fox Priestess introduces herself to Azazel in a seductive manner. Yo, Issei, Saji says. Across the hallway, Sona and her Parage make the way towards Issei and the others. It's good to see you, Sona says. Sona winks at Issei as she was in an elegant light green party dress, earning a small blush from Issei. Like what you see? I do, Issei replies, with a grin revivaling that of the Governor of Fallen Angels. Issei answers to her filthy remark. The Mordred dress... The dress looks good on you, Mordred said. I'm flattered, Sona replied, but before they could continue, suddenly the wall nearby exploded into debris, and through the debris they saw a man and woman who were in a deep argument. I won't let a filthy bastard such as you insult my ancestors, Zephador. Quit whining, you shitty old hag, Zephador says. This was bound to happen, Sona replied. Ah, isn't it rude to trash a party hosted by the Devil Kings? The voice was that of a young man with a muscular body who appears next to Zephador, with speeds untraceable by anyone except Issei and Mordred. The man suddenly shifts his attention towards Issei, who stares at him with any emotion. Strong, Issei thought. Cyrorg Bale, the strongest youth devil, Sona says. Sona Seatree, heiress of the Seatree clan, Cyrorg says. With an air of confidence and pride around him, the young man walks towards the 2 arguing devils. Zephador, the problem child, of the Glacia, Labuus family. Do not anger my fiancé, Cyrorg said. The young devil proclaims with a smirk, causing the problem child of the Glacia family to frown, while the unknown devil gains a faint blush. I'll make you pay for disrespecting me, Biel. Final warning, Cyrorg said. You don't scare me, trash of Biel, Zephador says. The moment Zephador utters those words, he finds himself embedded into a tree, which is half a kilometer away from the castle. Oh, hell, Saji says. Impressive, Mordred replied. Every single devil in the room stares at the gigantic hole through the castle with wide eyes. Fuck, Devil 1 said. Issei's Parage and Sona look at the strongest young devil in awe, except Issei, who has had his eyes narrowed. That punch. It was strong enough to knock out a high-tier ultimate class, but he's still holding back. Do you think he's reached the Satan class? The Knight of Treachery whispers to Issei, who's still at his gaze at the gigantic hole. He may be a low-tier Satan class, but strangely, I can't feel any trace of power of destruction from him, Issei says. Oh, I want to fight him now, Mordred replies. What is this feeling? This devil, he isn't normal. I am sure I can defeat him, but why do I feel tensed? Perhaps there are monsters, huge potential among devils, Issei says. The image of Saji, Cyro Org, and Milikis appears in Issei's mind as a predatory grin appears on Issei's lip. I can't wait to see their full potential unleashed, Issei says. He is the next heir of the BL family, Cyro Org. He is known as the strongest youth. Now, with Cyro Org away from Issei in the group, the strongest devil has a thoughtful look on his face as he walks away. Issei Kodamine, I'm looking forward to meet you in the battleground, Cyro Org says to himself. Now, back with Issei. While Issei and Mordred were having a stroll around the hallway, a young blonde devil bumps into them. Apologies. You're Ryder's little sister, Issei says. With a surprised tone, Issei exclaims about the young devil who blushes at his praise. How's your bratty big brother doing? Issei says. Actually, quite terrible. Since his humiliating defeat at your hands when you were a devil, he has refused to interact with us, and only became worse. The news about the Red Dragon Emperor has become a dragon. With a short sigh, the blonde devil expresses her feelings about the condition of her brother, earning a sympathetic smile from Issei. I might have went overboard, Issei says. That you did, Ravel replied. Oh, don't ignore me, Mordred said. The once heir of the Camelot punches Issei at his face with a cute surrendering pout. I'm Ravel Phoenix, third born of the third Phoenix. I have never met a Phoenix Devil in all my life. I always wanted to check out a Phoenix Devil's immortality, Mordred said. Mordred scares the blonde devil with her strange smile. Oh, Ravel replies. Where's my manners? I am Mordred Pentadragon, the true heir of Camelot. You're the Knight of Treachery? Ravel said. I am, Mordred replied. With a proud smile adorning her face, the Knight of Treachery boasts about herself while Ravel looks at the huge pure glee. Oh, my Satan, I am in front of a true knight, but isn't King Arthur's heir a son? No, both King Arthur and Mordred are female. They were portrayed as men by the old historians, but I'm surprised devils know about the legends of King Arthur, Ravel said. The legend of King Arthur is one of the most famous legends in the underworld. It is said that King Arthur once killed a low-tier Satan class. Only a handful of Satan class devils were alive at the time, Ravel said. The Phoenix Devil enters her fangirl mode as she continues to ramble about King Arthur. Hey, it's time for the party to start, so why don't we have this talk later? After the party, Issei says. Oh, Ravel replies. Shouldn't you help your big brother since you work for him? Mordred says. No, I don't serve under him, Ravel replies. Hearing this, Issei averts his attention towards the blonde devil. Explain, Issei says. I left his barrage for my mother's, Ravel said. You can do that? Issei said. You don't know about trade? Ravel said. Ravel calmly explains about the process of exchanging an evil piece on the condition that the two pieces must have the same value. Beelzebub did a good job on creating the evil piece, Issei said. Mother doesn't participation in raiding games, so I'm free piece, Lord Kodamine, Ravel says. Just call me by my name without any horrifics, Issei said. Can I call you by your name then? Ravel says. The blonde devil's tone breaks into one filled with embarrassment. Of course, Issei replied. This is boring as hell. I'll wait for you at the party hall, Mordred replies. With a soft kiss to his cheeks, the now blushing blonde knight says her bye to her beloved, earning a squeak from the poor Ravel. You know, your reputation has increased exponentially among the devils since the news about the defeat of Kokaville and the trial of Rias Grimmery, which was directly broadcasted across the underworld. I'm sorry for you, Ravel said. It's fine, Issei replied. As I was saying, every single devil alive, either a slave or noble, knows about you being a noble dragon. Also, rumors state that the White Dragon Emperor was defeated at your hands, Ravel said. Issei's previous stoic expression changes into astonishment smile at her knowledge and of his endeavors. I'm surprised that many know about me, Issei says. The common masses have no knowledge of the White Dragon Emperor's debut, and only the influential pillars among the 72 pillars know about the White Dragon Emperor, and even us knowing nothing about the identity of the White Dragon. Politics, Issei said. A huge sigh leaves the Red Dragon Emperor's lips at the thought of politics. Politics indeed, Ravel said. I hate politics, Issei replied. But it is necessary to upkeep peace among the common deviants, Ravel said. Deviants are common devil citizens, by the way. Indeed, Issei said. If you wish to know more about politics, you can ask me any time. Until then, Ravel said. With a small nod, the blonde devil leaves Issei on his own and walks towards the party hall. What a strange girl, Issei said. Indeed, Treg replied. Now at the party hall. The amora of delicious foods were found in the air as many devils were gathered in one place. Mordred finds herself Unable to take her eyes off the food next to her while guard devil approaches the group. Lord Kodamine, Lord Lucifer has requested your presence, Devil 1 said. Tell him that I'll be there in a few moments, Issei replied. Lord Lucifer has requested your presence at the moment, my lord, Devil 1 says. With a sigh escaping his lips, Issei nods and heads with the guard. Lead the way, guys. I'll be back in a few minutes, Issei said. Issei leaves the guard devil after bidding his farewell to the group. Now, time skip. Issei finds himself in a luxurious bedroom with the Crimson Satan, who is beaming with happiness. Greetings, my friend, Serzek says. Likewise, but do tell me the reason for request my presence. I was having a good time with my loved one, Issei said. The Crimson Satan lets out a huge, exhausted sigh. Issei, I did not call you here for a pep talk, but instead for your help regarding a certain issues, Serzek says. Issei raises an eyebrow. Serzek's a normal change in character. From goofy to serious. What do you want from me, Zetchi? Issei says. Issei, whatever happens in this room must not leave this room, Serzek said. Sure, Issei replied. With a small smile, Serzek places his hand on a mirror nearby, and soon a mischievous maniacal voice is heard. Identifying. Serzek's Lucifer. Entry approved. Suddenly, an organic blue-colored magic circle appears and a bizarre eye appears on the magic circle. Feeling the potent aura emitted by a magic circle, Issei gets shocked. That is a multi-dimensional cross-transmit teleportation seal created by Ajuka. Only the individuals that I have acknowledged to be teleported can use this. Not even a Dragon King class being can trespass through this seal, Serzek says. You better explain the reason for using this, Issei replied. I will now enter the magic circle, Serzek said. Issei enters the magic circle along with the Satan Lucifer, who grins Issei's slightly shocked face. Serzek just sits there. A bright blue light blinds Issei as he finds himself being teleported away. Location, private laboratory of Ajuka Beelzebub. In a blink of an eye, Issei finds himself in front of a giant door made of fairy silver reinforced with magic. Open the door, Serzek said. Yes, Nynx replied. A mechanic's voice, now named as Nynx, responds to Serzek's command and opens the door, revealing a high-tech laboratory. Issei looks at the advanced equipment with surprise evident in his eyes. The Devil Society is not underdeveloped in technological developments thanks to the one and only Ajuka, Serzek said. Gee, thanks. A mysterious man with green hair and azazer blue eyes wearing a lab suit approaches Serzek. You must be Issei Kodamine, the Red Dragon Emperor, the honorary champion of dragons and the hunter of the Red Plains. Ajuka Beelzebub, I'm not surprised that you know about my last identity, Issei says. The man now introduces Ajuka, who flashes a very small smile. While you did a decent job at concealing your identity as the hunter of the Red Plains, it was not hard to find out the truth, Ajuka said. As expected of the most intelligent devil, Issei says. Reintroduction aside, why don't we inform Issei about the issue, Serzek says. The current Beelzebub's non-existent smile turns into a visible frown. After the reveal of the White Dragon Emperor Vali Lucifer being a half-breed descendant of the first Lucifer, the Devil Council decided to conduct an all-out research for any other half-devil descendants of the royal clans. And 2 weeks ago, a devil mole inside the old Satan faction had informed us about the existence of a half-devil descendant of the Leviathan clan being kept in status. And we successfully managed to find out the target and some important information. A small alarm goes off at the current Beelzebub rushes to the system, and Panel lets out a sigh as soon as having a look at the monitor. As I was saying, we successfully retrieved the descendant of the Leviathan, but we found out that she could not be taken out of the stasis as she has an aura of the interference disease, which is due to her Longinus class sacred gear, Nirinkairi, rejecting her body. This disease has no cure as it damages the soul, and I have estimated that she only has a few days to live in her stasis. But Ajuka here believes that theoretically the disease could be cured by changing her original aura signature in her half-human body into a creature with huge affinity for energy, and the only creature we could think of is dragon, Issei says. Issei interjects Serzek's ramblings with a synthetic smile on his face. Yes, dragons are the creatures born of pure energy and have the greatest affinity for aura. Thus, I believe that if she wants to lose her humanity and turn into a dragon-devil hybrid, she will live, Ajuka says. Since I am the only one with draconic evil piece, you want me to resurrect her into my parage, Issei says. Yes, I can't create a new draconic evil piece in a couple of days, so I ask you, please help her, Ajuka says. With a sad smile adorning on his face, the green-haired devil pleads to help her, causing Issei to sigh at the devil. I may be ruthless at times, but I wouldn't dare refuse to help an innocent little girl, Issei says. Thank you, Issei, Ajuka says. Well then, we'll resurrect her after the party ends. I believe that Mao-chan would be upset if you were missed to party, Sirzex said. It seems like I have to go. Farewell, Lord Beelzebub. Issei and Sirzex walk away, leaving the lab. The Beelzebub, who has a bright smile on his face, a lone tear escapes his eye. At last, I have fulfilled your final wish with Tatsumi, my love. I swear on my name that I will take care after your daughter as my own. If only you were alive today instead of being killed by my own hands, my childhood friend and eternal love, Ajuka says to himself. The image of the young Ajuka, who is bloodthirsty grin, choking a beautiful purple-haired woman who struggles to escape his grasp but failing miserably, appears in his mind. I will always love you, Ajuka. Location, Young Devil Gathering, the city of Billard. Issei finds himself in the middle of the party hall, with Mordred eating a ton of food, earning nervous glances from everyone nearby, while Sona was being dragged away by her big sis Leviathan, who was ranting about her sister being kidnapped and mind-controlled by the evil dragon of lust known as Issei. A few things never changed, Drake. Do you think I could save the girl Ajuka said about? Issei says. To be honest, you can help her by turning into a half-dragon, since her sacred gear is known as the only Longinus that can strengthen dragons, Drake said. Suddenly, Issei senses a faint wave of senjutsu, causing him to look at Mordred, who appears to have not noticed it, while at the corner of his eye, he spots Konako going stiff before running away to the part hall. Princess, I'll be back, Issei says. Issei suddenly disappears in the shadows, leaving an infuriated Mordred. A forest near the city of Billard is the location. The white-haired Nekomata rushes towards a tree, unaware of Issei following her. Where is she? Konako says. Above a tree, silhouette of a woman appears as soon as seductive voice is heard. Big sis Kuroka, Konako says. Aw, you can still sense me? I'm touched, Kuroka says. What do you want? Konako replies. Konako raises her guard and takes a fighting stance, while Kuroka merely raises an eyebrow. I am disappointed in you, Shirone. You cast aside our gift in Senjutsu and use your fist instead of magic. This is the reason why you are just a mid-class at best, Kuroka said. Yo, Kuroka, don't be harsh on your sister, Byoku said. Byoku appears from a portal nearby with his staff ready to strike down the white-haired Nekomata. Shut up, monkey. Now the Shirone, why don't you let your big sister take care of you, Kuroka said. We also have to gather intel on other young devils gathering to make this quick, Byoku said. I'm afraid I can't let you do that, Issei says. From the deepest of the shadows, Issei emerges, startling everyone. You must be pretty skilled for evading my senses, Kuroka says. What is this fool doing here? Konako replies. Oh, the Red Dragon Emperor found us. I'm scared, Byoku says. Issei snarls at Byoko's sarcastic remark, earning a gleaming smile from Kuroko. This is the one who pounded volley, Kuroka said. Issei raises a barrier, trapping them with him. Sorry, I didn't pound him, but rather he got his ass kicked by me, Issei says. Whatever. Think you could take both of us? Byoku said. A victorious smirk appears on Issei's face as the dragon roar is heard from afar. Soon Tannin in his dragon form appears above them. Need help taking care of these pests? Tannin said. Yes, please, Issei replied. The former Dragon King, huh? I want to fight him. Extend, Byoku says. A cloud appears below Byoku, and the cloud takes him high in the sky, and then his staff extends and tries to hit the former Dragon King, who evades the attack. Looks like the monkey is having fun, Kuroka said. I will warn you for the last time. Get out of here if you wish to live, Issei says. Nope, Kuroka replies. And that is the end of Chapter 19. Chapter 20. I will warn you for the last time. Get out of here if you wish to leave, Issei says. Nope, Kuroka replies. Issei finds his body tense at her answer, causing him to narrow his eyes. Nice try, but your senjutsu techniques won't work on me. So while Issei was busy explaining about how her senjutsu didn't work on him, he is met with a blue orb made out of senjutsu on his face. How rude, Drake. What are you waiting for? Activate the balance breaker. Sorry, pal. The boosted gear is still undergoing its evolution, so you can't use it, Drake said. You want to play with this naughty kitty? Kuroka said. In an instant, Kuroka disappears, and a mist reappears at random locations, earning a smirk from Issei. Now, what will you do? Kuroka says. Yojutsu. Trace on. Mana accumulates around Issei's hand as it materializes into the familiar red spear. Rush and drill. Gedrig, Issei says. Issei rushes forward and slashes every single clone of Kuroka as they disappear into thin air the moment the spear touches them, earning a shocked gasp from Kuroka. Found you, Issei says. Issei disappears into the shadows and appears behind Kuroka with his fist ready to strike her, but by pure instinct, the older Nekomata conjures a defensive barrier just in time to stop the attack. You know, you're really a fool to think that you could win against me, Issei says. Huh, Kuroka replied. While Issei and Kuroka clash against each other, the white-haired Nekomata decides that this is the time to escape, but then... Don't leave your big sis alone, Shirone, Kuroka replied. Strange obsidian-colored runic text appears as Kuroka raises her hands and suddenly a mist appears. The white-haired Nekomata instantly falls to the ground, unable to withstand the effects of the fog. That was my own spell, which is poisonous to beings who come into the mist, although it won't work against dragons, Kuroka said. A mid-tier ultimate class at the least, Issei says to himself. Don't lose your focus to miss the battle, Drake says. Run away, you'll die, Konako says. Ignoring Konako's warnings, Issei with a war cry dashes forward with his stance unbroken. Die, Issei says. In an instant, Kuroka conjures multiple barriers made of ki, but the crimson rose of exorcism cuts through them, like a hot knife slicing through a block of butter. What the? Kuroka says. Use your brain, dumbass, Issei says. Using the blunt end of the Gedrig, the Red Dragon Emperor pushes back Kuroka by several meters and then delivers a sucker punch. You're hardly a challenge for an SS-class straight devil. I wonder who wanted a pathetic waste of space like you in their barrage, Issei says. Tss, arrogant bastard, Kuroka replied. Visible hints of frustration appears on her face as Issei inwardly smirks at angering her. They say that you became drunk in power and you killed your master, but I doubt that you would have killed him by yourself, Issei says. You have no idea, Kuroka said. The older Nekomata's voice becomes filled with hatred and venom, indicating that the Red Dragon has opened up old wounds. Perhaps you weren't drunk in power, but killed him in a fit of rage, Issei says. Kuroka visibly flinches at Issei's words, causing Byoko, who was fighting Tanin, to yell at her. Kuroka, snap out of it, Byoko says. While Byoko averts his attention towards the Nekomata, Tanin fires a huge torrent of fire which engulfs the descendant of the Monkey King. Fool, do not leave yourself open, Tanin says. Damn, you're not bad, old man, Byoko says. Byoko rushes towards Tanin and his cloud, with his staff ready, but Tanin evades the attack and uses his tail to slam him into the ground, leaving a huge crater. You're 1,000 years too young to face me, Tanin says. Now, back with Issei. Issei gracefully dodges multiple blue-colored projectiles with ease, further frustrating Kuroka. You're a disgrace of a sister. To abandon your own sibling is something I wouldn't even think in my darkest nightmares, Issei says. Damn you, Kuroka replies. A purple-colored magic circle appears behind Kuroka, and with a loud yell, the older Nekomata creates 3 orbs of pure Yojutsu. Using his spear, deflects the first 2 orbs towards the 3rd orb, making them explode mid-air. I need a weapon, Issei thinks to himself. The crimson rose of exorcism dissipates into thin air as a couple of throwing knives charges towards Kuroka, who uses her senjutsu to stop mid-air, but then finds out that Issei is missing. A bait? Kuroka said. A vicious haymaker was the only answer the Nekomata received from the Red Dragon, but retaliates by slamming a dozen of Yojutsu spheres into his face at point-blank range, throwing him about 50 meters away. That hurts like a bitch, Issei says. The smoke dissipates and Issei, with his right eye bleeding, stands there with an uncanny smile. You were able to penetrate my pseudo-dragon skin. Ah, you must be high-tier ultimate class with mastery in long-range combat, Issei says. You're not invincible. In your base form, you're just a high-tier high class, and if equipped with a good weapon, you may reach tier ultimate class, but without releasing one of your shields, using the boosted gear, or suppressing the limiters on your reality marble, you can't win this, girl, Drake said. You know very well that I cannot release the limiters on my reality marble, as it would reveal too much about me, and most of my ace weapons are available only after releasing the limiters, Issei said. With an angry snarl, the Red Dragon Emperor charges towards Kuroka, who retaliates with a huge orb of concentrated ki to his gut, who grunts in pain. Activate your sacred gear if you want to win, Red Dragon, Kuroka said. Fuck off, Issei replied. How rude. Maybe I should tame this naughty dragon, Kuroka said. A dozen of orbs made out of Yojutsu appeared behind Kuroka and then merges each other with creating a circle of ki. Orb of Calamity, Kuroka says. Issei, dodge that, Drake said. Issei says. The attack successfully hits Issei, causing a heat explosion which blows away a dozen of trees and creates a huge shockwave. The explosion catches the attention of the former Dragon King, who has anger all over his face, then summons a huge fireball which severely injured Byuko. Issei! Tanin says. She used it, Byuko says, back to Issei. The smoke cloud disappears, revealing Issei with his combat outfit reduced to cinders, a dozen of first-degree burns all over his body, and a broken finger. Dragon Slayer magic, Issei says. You must be pretty strong to be able to stand that after taking my strongest attack, Dragon Slayer attack. Kuroka says, shit, I can't take a Dragon Slayer attack on this form. I have to release a seal or I will die. If only I had the boosted gear now. Issei says, you fool. Did you lose your mind? You refused to use your full powers and nearly got yourself killed. Are you the strongest Red Dragon Emperor who killed Kokaville in his new armor and defeated the strongest White Dragon Emperor in Juggernaut Drive? Drake said. Drake roars inside his mind, causing Issei to stare at the cold Necromunda, who has a smug grin on her face. The most powerful Red Dragon Emperor, who has mastered the Juggernaut Drive, has gained powers enough to slay gods, has lost to a mere ultimate class Necromunda, as you hesitated to use your full powers. Don't you have any pride as a dragon? Drake said in his head. Issei said, educate this weakling about the power of a dragon and show her the might of the Red Dragon Emperor, Drake said in his head. The primal, unshackled fury of the heavenly dragon who was chained and used as a tool by lesser creatures who tarnished his name fills his mind as Issei's battle instincts take over him. I will kill her, Issei says. Kill her, Drake said. Seal release 1. Partial limiter release. Reality, marble. All Kuroka knew was an unbearable whisper, and soon all she was a predator staring at its prey. Trace on, Issei says. A ton of information floods Issei's mind as he chooses the sword he desperately wants. Search, select, Issei says. A long, gigantic axe appears on his mind, while a huge amount of mana bursts from his body, earning a pure shock from everyone, even the former Dragon King, Byuko. What the? He has given in to his instincts, Tanin said. 9 lives, Blade Works, shooting the 100 heads. The feeling of dread and despair was all around the air as a huge axe materializes on Issei's hands. Is this death? Kuroka says. In an instant, Issei dashes towards Kuroka at unbelievable speeds, causing a loud sonic boom. Kuroka! Watch out! Byuko said. Kuroka stares at the nearing figure of Issei with wide eyes, as at times it seems slowed down before an explosion occurs. Kuroka, answer me! The girl must have agitated him, Tanin says. The smoke dissipates, revealing Issei's giant axe clashing with a sword of a stranger who was trying to protect the older Necromunda. The stranger was a blonde man in his mid-20s, wearing a tuxedo, but the most unnatural thing was the sword in his hand, which is radiating a strong holy aura. I'm afraid I cannot let you kill her, the random dude said. Fuck off, Issei replied. Issei proceeds to use his axe and strike at the stranger at his vital points at speed greater than the sound, but the stranger blocks all attacks. Quite impressive, the stranger says. The stranger switches into offensive and tries to slash him at his tendons, but Issei uses his axe to block it and kicks him on his guts, slamming him into the ground, and uses the momentum gathered to deliver a devastating strike to his sword, which he uses to defend himself. This is the greatest Excalibur fragment, Excalibur ruler, the stranger says. The stranger immediately moves back and changes his stance, and only then finds out large parts of his sword broken. Death. It felt like I was staring at death itself, Kuroka said. Impossible. What is that weapon? The stranger said. While the stranger dropped his focus just for a moment, Issei disappears and appears behind Kuroka, and upper arm, collarbone, windpipe, temple, diaphragm, rib, testicles, and thighs, Issei says in his head. What happened next could only be described as carnage. Within a second, Issei delivers 8 lethal strikes at Kuroka's vital points, causing blood to gush out of her unconscious body. Byuko says, You bastard! I shouldn't have underestimated him, the stranger says. Byuko rushes towards Issei with his staff extended, but Issei uses his axe to deflect it, while the stranger takes out a sword brimming with divine aura, causing the Issei to stare at it with eyes wide open. Caliburn? Issei says. The stranger uses the sword to cut the air, creating a rip in space into which Byuko carries the unconscious Kuroka, while the stranger following them. I assume that you are the Red Dragon Emperor. I will not forget this and tell the fake Pentadragon that I will hunt her down in her misdeeds. You'd have to go through me to harm her. The Pentadragon, Issei says. Farewell, this boy says. The rip on space vanishes without any trace. Issei then shifts his attention towards Konako, who is staring at him with wide eyes. Forget, Issei says. Issei snaps his fingers as Konako falls into the ground unconscious. Time skip. Issei finds himself in a party hall, along with the young devils gathering after his fight with Kuroka. I, Mao Lucifer, am honored to inform you all 16 devils have reached the required age to participate in the reigning games, and 7 are from the 72 pillars. They are Cyber Org Bjol, Sikavera Argus, Didorio Astaroth, Sona Citri, Rias Grimmery, Grag Fornis, and Zephador Labius. To celebrate this occasion, we have decided to host a raiding game tournament between those young devils, and also the honorary champion of dragons, Lord Issei Kodamine, will be competing in the tournament as a guest to improve the relationship with the dragon faction, Serzek said. The crowd cheers for the young devils while the pillars were busy chatting amongst themselves. We're going to participate in a raiding game, Mordred said. Yes, we are, Issei said. Awesome. Is killing allowed in the tournament? Mordred said. Every devil stares at her absurd question, her chauffeur smile with fear. No, killing is prohibited, Serzek says. This might be a good way to spend some time, Tomio said to herself. We have to fight, Mash said, with a nervous dripping from her voice. The shelter asked with a nervous smile on her face. The first round of the matches are all selected. They are a holographic image of the schedule for the first round was shown to the devils present, causing a few devils to take photos of the hologram. It displayed Match 1, Sauerorg Bill vs. Zephador Galacia, Labos. Rias Gremery vs. Issei Kodamine, Match 2. Match 3, Sona Citri vs. Grag Fornis. Match 4, Dodoria Astaroth vs. Sikavir Argus. Everyone in the room erupted into cheers and the smiles displayed, but Issei spots Rias, who was uncanny smile on her face. She stares at the hologram, causing him to raise an eyebrow. This is perfect. I'll kill that blonde bitch with Ascalon. And since it was at a raiding game, they can't arrest me, and the only thing they'll do is disqualify me, Rias says. The tournament will start 1 week later. I wish you all good luck, Serzek says. Serzek finishes his speech, earning applause from everyone in the hall. This tournament. I will win this, Sona says. Location unknown. In a mountain cliff, during a cold night, a split in space appears, and the blonde swordsman Ajuka come from the split in a space with the unconscious Kuroka. Is she dead, Volley says. Nope. But if we don't help her, she will be, Ajuka replied. Without a second thought in his mind, the White Dragon Emperor carries Kuroka to a nearby tent and places her down with a solemn expression on his face. I have no knowledge of healing spells. I should have hired a healer, Volley said. May I suggest we patch up her fatal wounds while I contact my sister who must have knowledge of a few basic spells. The unknown swordsman suggests solution, but Volley shakes his head in disapproval while letting out a sigh. I suppose that I could heal her in a traditional devil way, Volley says. How would you do that? Ajuka replies. Devils can heal others, or half-breeds, by sharing a bit of their life force, but the process requires both the devils to be naked, Volley says, with no visible changes in his facial expression, but a faint pink hue adorns his face at the thought of certain things. Volley explains about the devil's shin skip, causing the others to snicker. Damn, you really have the devil's luck, Byoko said. Very well. Wouldn't it be a hindrance by being here? And Volley, do treat her well. With amusement dangling in his face, the unknown swordsman leaves with a content smile. See you later, Byoko said. A teleportation circle appears below Byoko as he teleports away with the girl on his face. Time to heal her, I guess, Volley says. And all my life, I, Albion, never expected you to be embarrassed, Albion says. Just shut up, Volley replied. Time skip the next day. Issei finds himself in the middle of Ajuka's laboratory, with Ajuka nearby working on a hologramic computer. Countermeasures, stand by, Nix says. Roger, what about the stabilization pod? Ajuka says. Operational, Nix replies. The mechanical voice of the AI, Nix, is heard through the room, along with the sounds of metallic clanging. Nix, bring out the stasis pod, Ajuka says. The floor opens, and from it, a futuristic pod appears which has brimming with magic. Issei, you have 54 seconds before she dies. Yes, Issei replied. Nix, open the pod. The pod opens, revealing a purple-haired girl with her skin paler than the moon itself and has orange eyes, but the most captivating feature was the innocent smile on her face. Ajuka stares at the girl with a solemn expression as his past memories overwhelm him. By the name of Issei Kodamine, I be reborn as a faithful dragoness with your weakness casted aside and serve as my pawn, Issei says. A bright purple light engulfs the laboratory. The Gishin Castle town, 3,800 years ago, is the new location. So scene break. The city of Gushin, a magnificent city portraying the diversity of the devils, was in ruins, a territory filled with nothing but debris and remains of once great city. Amidst the ruins, a total 150,000-pound soldiers were stationed around the city, while a younger Ajuka was among the army generals. Status, Ajuka says. The forces under Tatsumi Leviathan are estimated to be around 700,000 to 10 million, and are currently in the Royal Trident formation, which is suited for direct defense and stealth strikes, Devil General said. Hearing this, Ajuka lets a frown adorn his usually stoic face. They will break our defenses. We are also outnumbered in numbers, Ajuka says. What do we do? The Devil General replied. Rapid fire at the city. Aim for the skyscrapers, Ajuka said. A gasp escapes the General's lips at the young Super Devil's command. But sir, there might be civilians who have escaped the fall of Gushin, Devil General says. I don't care. Kill every single devil you come across. For victory, Ajuka says. Multiple beams of demonic attacks are fired from Ajuka's army as they wreak havoc on the buildings while killing innocent people in the Satan army. But then a huge shield covers the whole city. A desperate attempt to defeat me is everything you've got, Ajuka. A silhouette of a woman is seen in the building with a devil nearby. Lady Leviathan, a quarter of our forces killed. The traitor, Ajuka himself, is in the front lines, Devil One said. Let us show them our conviction. Time skip. After a few days of battle, both sides were heavily routed, with Ajuka and the unknown woman standing face to face. Surrender. I don't want to fight you, Ajuka. I have come here with only the goal of killing you, to Sufume. Ajuka lowers his hood, revealing his handsome face. You've gotten stronger, Tefutsume says. The silhouette of a woman now introduces Sufume, lets out a sigh as she reveals herself a young woman in her late 20s with looks which could kill a man. Ajuka's stoic face morphs into a disgusted scowl at the sight of the woman earning a sigh from her. You still haven't let go of your grudge, Tatsumi says. I see. You were having a good life far away from me while I was all alone, broken and tortured, Ajuka said. With rage barely held back, the young super devil lets out an animalistic howl. I had no choice but to bear his child. My mother's last wish when she died 100 years ago was to marry him, Sufume says. A human. You had a child with a human, Ajuka says. The Leviathan lets out a huge sigh, as sadness was all she knew, at the sight of the gentle Ajuka reduced to such state. You could have asked me to help you live your life, our life, but you betrayed me for that creature. I was tortured for 40 fucking years by my own clan for falling in love with you, Ajuka says. I didn't know, Sufumi said. You broke our promise and revealed our past relationship to everyone. I was betrayed and tortured just because I was a lowly Ashtaroth obsessed with the great Sufume Leviathan, Ajuka said. With venom that could make a god shudder, Ajuka yells at his past lover causing Leviathan to shed a few tears. Sufume says, I fell in love with a gentle woman who admired me for who I was, but now all I see is a broken hag with a rotten heart covered in fake innocence and beauty. I will not let you deceive me any longer, Ajuka says. A huge green-colored beam hits Sufume, blowing her a couple kilometers away. I will make you pay for those 40 years of torture and heartbreak I have endured, and I shall kill your offspring and your cousins for your sins, Ajuka said. And thus began a fight that would one day change the underworld and the super devil himself. Time skip 8 days later. The fight lasted for 8 days without food or sleep, but still there was no clear victor in sight, but it was clear that Ajuka held the advantage over the fight. Stop holding back and fight me, Sufume says. Pathetic, Ajuka replies. A multicolored beam of demonic power directly hits the Leviathan at the point-blank range, which she erects a barrier just in time to protect herself. Demon King Leviathan. Water dragon of greed, Sufume says. The water vapor in the air rapidly condenses, taking a form of dragon which rushes towards Ajuka. Ajuka conjures multiple barriers. The water dragon breaks all of them directly, hits Ajuka, creating a huge explosion which is capable of destroying a small country. There is no way for him to survive that. He is a Satan-class devil, but I am a Dragon King class in power. The power gap between us is huge, Sufume says. The smoke dissipates, revealing Ajuka, with bruises littered all over his body, with a snickering smile on his face. Ha! I am not the weakling, science freak, Ashtaroth you knew, Ajuka says. How? Sufume says. Tenkara formula, Ajuka replies. Ajuka's voice slightly distorted while a ton of magical energy accumulates next to Ajuka. Strange magical runic text appeared on the super devil's arm, shaking the whole city with his enormous power. Fight me with everything you've got, Ajuka says. Dear Satan, this power, it's on par with Rizavim, who is stronger than the father of lies himself. How's my new power, Sue? I can control every single phenomenon if I know about its mechanics. For example, I could control the latent magical energy in the atmosphere to create countless attacks which could engulf the entire continents. Or I could just control a god's ether concentration to kill them from the inside. Ha! Demon King Leviathan, Sea of Serpent of the End. With a sad sigh, the daughter of the original Leviathan uses her trump card, which allows her to change into a giant sea serpent, and the ocean of water appears out of nowhere. With a loud screech, multiple jets of concentrated demonic waters rushes towards Ajuka, who simply deflects the attack with a wave of his hand. Mama, is that you? A childish voice is heard gaining the attention of both the devils, as they spot a little girl with violet hair, with teleportation circle below her. Ha! What a rotten luck you have. Your own child has found its way here to see you die, Ajuka said. Ingold, go away from here, Sufume says. The terrified little girl tries to summon a teleportation circle but fails at doing so. Can't let you escape, brat, Ajuka says. Let go of my baby, Sufume says. The serpent wraps its tail at Ajuka, tries to drag him into the water, but only manages to save the girl, known as Invigold, from the super devil's grasp. Invigold, always remember that Mama always loved you, Sufume said. With all of her might, Sufume opens up a small magic circle and pushes Invigold into it, but unknown to her, the little girl's body flickers a shade of blue. Kankara formula dissipate, Ajuka says. The green-haired super devil's voice comes out distorted, accompanied by the water disappearing, and a giant serpent's body starts to glow as cracks from all around it. Soon the serpent disappears, leaving a heavily wounded Sufume with a hand missing. Any last words? Ajuka said. Ajuka returns back to normal and grabs the beaten devil by her throat and chokes her with a sadistic grin on his face. I will always love you, Sufume says. Liar! Ajuka replies. My sins have finally caught up with me. I have many regrets. Just keep my daughters safe. I beg you, my Aju. Sufume says. The woman's voice comes to a stop as Ajuka snaps her neck, causing a sickening cracked sound. You liar. You never loved me, but instead I am the one who fell in love with you. With hot tears streaming down his face, the super devil gently picks up her body and lays it down on the ground next to him as she stares at the night sky with a heart-wrenching smile filled with both grief and happiness. Now, location Ajuka's lab. So we're back. The bright light fades in an instant. Ajuka hurriedly made it into the hologram nearby and was working on it. Sir, the patient's aura signature has been altered successfully, Nyx said. What about the aura deficiency? Ajuka replied. Sir, it looks like the sacred gear inside her strengthened, the draconic aura thus curing the disease, Nyx said. With a huge sigh, the super devil walks toward the pod and unlocks it. You're going to take her out of the stasis? Issei replied. Yes, I am, Ajuka said. The pod opens up, revealing the girl to the outside air for the first time. Then, where am I? The girl says. The girl gently opens her eyes and looks at Ajuka and Issei with confusion on her eyes. Who are you? The girl says. This is going to be a long day, Issei says in his head. Time skip a few hours later. In a hospital room, Issei and Ajuka are seated next to the Leviathan descendant, who was having a peek at the outside with a small smile. I have been asleep for 3,800 years, she says. Yes, since you were 6 years old, you were kept in a stasis, as you have contacted a type of aura malfunction, Ajuka says. My mother is dead, isn't she? I saw her in a giant snake form, fighting a man with green hair, just like you, the girl says. The girl innocently replies, earning a small frown from Issei and a sigh from Ajuka. Yes. She wasn't able to make it out of that fight, Ajuka says. My homeland has changed a lot, the girl replies. You're awfully mature for a 6-year-old girl, Issei says. The girl innocently flashes a smile at his question before answering. I am not 6-year-old child, the girl says. I'll order the maids to send you a few books regarding the recent changes in the underworld since 3,000 years, Ajuka said. With that, Ajuka leaves the room in a blink of an eye to somewhere. Hey, Issei, I am your pawn. Am I right? The girl says. Yeah, Issei says. Then I'll follow you, big brother. The girl says. I like this girl, Drake says. The girl jumps on the stunned Red Dragon Emperor, who unknowingly pats her head, earning a coup. I almost forgot to introduce myself. I am Invigold Leviathan, daughter of Sufume Leviathan. Can I join your barrage? I promise I won't be able to burden you. Please, the girl says. If that is what you wish, I'll make sure to inform the others about this, Issei says. Yay, I get a lot of big sisters, Invigold says. Unable to suppress a chuckle, Issei awkwardly waves his farewell and leaves the room with his thoughts wondering. Big brother, huh? I'm glad I have a little sister, Issei says, chuckling to himself. The Red Dragon Emperor teleports away. And that is the end of chapter 20. And that is where we're going to stop for now, right at the end of chapter 20, and we will pick up with chapter 21 in part 9. Thank you guys so much for the support. What if Naruto was betrayed? Once again, it didn't get like tons and tons of views, but I really didn't care because I knew I was awakening to a whole entire new audience, so I knew it wasn't exactly going to pop, but I'm really happy to know that I still have people that would support me regardless of what I post. It's really nice to like see that. I just wanted to gather a new audience because I really, really enjoy Naruto. So that's why I did the video, because I like putting my passion into things, as you guys know. But I really wanted to make Ampalpowski a Dragon Ball almost only channel and just talk about everything Dragon Ball related, as well as do what ifs on the videos. But thank you so much for the support. This was What If Issei Was Betrayed and Became a God Part 8. And a special thank you once again to my balance breakers, Rob the King, Jorge Alvarez, Lachlan Yates, Atomic Warlord 58, Kozakil Toltec Sun God, Daybreak, VR Wolf #2347, Sinrar Q, Jordan Pachow, Mazaku, Dr_MLG_ is the bomb. Thank you so much for becoming a balance breaker. Which is the highest membership tier. I can't thank you enough for becoming a balance breaker. Let's try to hit 500 to 400 likes. Thank you all once again for all the support. If you guys want to subscribe to my second channel, down in the description below, it's always there, along with my shorts channel, aka Fallen DxD. We'll be posting a lot of videos as well soon, just on shorts about anime and just random things in general, to just know my thoughts or analysis on some things. Once again, thank you for all the support, and without further ado, Spartanic Arts DxD out.